Okay.
Greetings, Internet! Welcome to another fabulous, fun-filled episode of Mike and Matt's Comic Watchers Show, Patent Pending. I'm Matt, and with me, as always, is Mike. How are you this fine evening, Mike?
Greetings. I'm
Man,
good.
look at that.
I am just as about as happy.
Somebody already hearted our show, and we are like barely into it. I feel awesome and a little bit loved right now. So yeah, let's do this.
Right. As you should.
I know, right? And you know, we look at this. We got the Kick-Ass Pride Month Comic Watch.
Yes.
Logo. Pride Month is not just for big evil corporations to try to catch in on anymore. It's even for us. And I say that with a little tongue in cheek, but you know, really one of our biggest missions at Comic Watch is to provide a safe space for the LGBTQIA plus community. Anybody that's out there feeling like the world is against them or is persecuted in any way, we like to make sure that everybody has a voice and an equal voice at Comic Watch. So if you've ever watched our sister show, Mutant Watch, it is hella gay. We love it. We love Duna. We love Travis. We love all of the amazing guests that they pull onto that show. So if you like us, or at least tolerate us, you should at least, and I mean at the very least, give Mutant Watch a try. It's twice a month on Saturday afternoons, 2:00 Central. So make that your appointment viewing. So, Mike, let me ask you. May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. So, we pinky up. I saw that. So you like me like Star Wars, right?
Yes, sir. My favorite.
Okay. Sure. I thought so. And you like me are digging on the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, right?
Absolutely.
And we're gonna preface this first of all. I have not seen tonight's episode yet. Mike, have you?
Neither have I.
No. Okay. So we're not even getting into episode 3 tonight. Episode 3. Ha ha ha. I see what I did there.
This show is
we're gonna have a little bit of hot and heavy spoiler action for the first 2 episodes that aired last week. But we really want to talk about what in the hell is going on with Star Wars fandom, or at least a certain segment and very loud segment of Star Wars fandom, and their toxic, nasty, gnarly racism towards Ingram Moses, who plays Inquisitor Reva.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, and unfortunately, we can before we get into kind of tracing the toxicity of the fandom, I think we got to acknowledge that the internet provides people with the greatest superpower, which is invulnerability. You can say, you can do whatever it is you want to do until your heart's content, because you're in some room with, you know, a Wi-Fi password and a monitor. But, you know, the toxicity started, I mean, you can trace it back to the prequels, you know, and when the introduction of the midichlorians and Jar Jar Binks and Anakin Skywalker and stuff like that.
I mean, that's going against storytelling choices and an obnoxious cartoon character, right? Like, that's one thing. I can be like, okay, you don't like midichlorians. I don't like them either because they're stupid.
Right.
But okay, you don't like it. You have or you have legitimate beef with the quality of storytelling and or acting and or direction and or story logic in any of the prequel movies. I can get behind that.
Right.
But starting with Rose Tico, as played by AAPI actress Kelly Marie Tran in episode 8.
Yes.
We started seeing, oh, hey, Michael Conrad dropped by. Hey, Michael.
Oh,
my man. He says, professional comics personality, says Michael Conrad says, thanks for speaking up against toxic weirdos. We can do better. You're part of the solution. Thank you, Michael. Come back to our show anytime you like. You and Noah Hawley. Not Noah Hawley. Noah. Wrong. No, now I'm talking about Legion. Trimmer Dose Noah.
Bailey.
I'm gonna shut up now. Or Becky Cloonan, or as proposed on the Twitter, you and Becky Cloonan versus Palmiotti and Connor, no holds barred. But the fans win because misunderstanding fights between heroes always end in a team up. But
we'd have to do that show.
Man, so listen, that would be an amazing show. We'd get so many views, tens upon tens of views. It got nasty with Rose Tico and Kelly Marie Tran, right?
Then
and again, I keep wanting to just say Star Wars fans, but that's not fair because there's a lot of well-behaved ones out there. But the loud vocal minority of shitty human Star Wars fans really just unleashed holy hell on Tran, and it gotta recruit Liam Sharp as our quarterback. Yeah. So it's either Liam Sharp or Capullo, because Capullo can basically tear a phone book in half if need be. So anyway, I think part of the backlash with Rose Tico, Mike, was because there was such a viscerally divided reaction against episode 8, right? In which there was a whole lot of kill your darlings happening.
Yeah.
And okay, let's just for the, I don't want to say play devil's advocate, but let's just try to trace that logic there. So you've got a movie, you're a lifelong Star Wars fan. And you're also just kind of an asshole. And okay, here's an AAPI actress. Let's just rip on her. She's a diversity hire. She doesn't. What is she doing in Star Wars? She's a token. Wow, that's really shitty, man. And then it just starts escalating to death threats and like all of this stuff. And it gets so nasty that Kelly Marie Tran eventually leaves all social media. And who can blame her, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I wouldn't want to. But what kind of flummoxed everyone at the time was Disney's really slow response and reaction. And frankly, for practical purposes, basically non-existent response to all of this. You know, kind of some blanket statements like you expect, but nothing like what they should have done.
Right.
And it was just shitty. And it came out of nowhere. And I mean, it just like uncorked and revealed this entire toxic segment of fandom or a fandom, I should say, that, like you stated, Mike, felt entitled because the internet to say and do all of this terrible shit that they would never have done in real life.
Right. And that's the shit thing. You know, it's one thing, like, we could think back when we were kids, we got reprieve from our bullies when we went home, I mean, because really everything outside of school. I mean,
that's right, children. Before the internet was a thing.
Yeah, before the Nokia phones came out. But we went home, and unless you saw them in the neighborhood or something like that, you only saw your bullies for a limited amount of time. And then as you got older, you moved to middle school to move on to high school. You saw them sporadically, if at all. But here in the the past, we'll say 20 plus years, where the internet has provided that, as I mentioned earlier, that almost that false invulnerability. This one though, I don't like the Gungans because I just find him as an annoying character. That's fine. You leave it at that. NFP, because I know plenty of people that do enjoy the creation, and that's fine. But it's one thing for me to send the actor Ahmad Best a bunch of death threats and racist DMs and stuff, and the harassment that he suffered, he almost committed suicide.
Yeah,
I mean, they sent Jake Lloyd. He had to
spent time in an institution.
Yeah. So I mean, he goes far back, and the thing is I could never imagine. It's one thing being able to connect with creators of whatever medium and to offer opinions or whatever. It's a whole another thing to sit here and go, I'm going to be a racist roachhead and just like and somehow gain and think that you're creating some narrative going, oh well, my childhood is ruined, or
well,
they're making.
Let's talk about the whole "my childhood was ruined" by the prequels crowd, because you know who you don't hear saying that? People who were children when the prequels came out.
Right. It's
the old heads that it's the right. It's the older Gen X.
Us and boomers, man. That's it. We're the last. We are the last tribe standing. That's it.
Oh man. But yeah, like there's definitely a generational thing happening there. But I mean, that just comes down to we didn't like these movies. When you're talking about this nasty, gnarly, horrifying racism and bigotry and hatred that some of these entitled fans think they can spew out there just because it's mind-blowing to me. And of course, this isn't a phenomenon unique to Star Wars fandom.
No.
But the Star Wars fandom, or at least this part of the Star Wars fandom, they seem to be the loudest when it comes to stuff. And this all brings us to Moses Ingram and Inquisitor Reva, who they're not even trying to hide the fact that that it's all about her race with this, right?
Yeah,
like they're not like they're just flat out coming out and dropping the N-word, and I mean just everything, go back to where you came from type language. Like it's sickening.
Yeah, no, it is.
And I mean, I've liked Reva so far. She's clear. Like, I saw one comment, and it was the most boneheaded thing I think I've ever read. And it was disparaging her. Okay, Moses Ingram, Reva, and he was like, this person was like, why do I want to watch Reva do things? It's the Obi-Wan show. Like, acting as though Obi-Wan Kenobi should be the only person on screen the entire time. This episode, like this moron clearly has no idea how storytelling works.
Well, and that, I'm sure he kind of, I'm sure he would have started off the sentences, I'm not racist, but
yeah.
But and the thing is, I saw a great video on TikTok earlier. I was trying to find it, I can't. But this guy breaks down the characteristics of Reva and Anakin Skywalker, and their characters almost mirror each other. Where his point on it was, oh, so you have this disgruntled character who's disgruntled with her faction, trying to make a name for herself, but still please the people that she works for. And he broke it, and he's like, if the third sister Reva isn't Anakin, then you're not paying attention to, and I'm sitting here going like, well, shit, I missed that one. But you know, I'm sitting here.
There's a pretty clear analogy there. You're
Yeah.
I hadn't noticed that, but you're right.
Right. I wouldn't have made that. So I'm like, oh damn, that's pretty good, you know. But yeah, and the thing is, I just don't get the need, you know. You're gonna have trolls, you know, and trolls is one thing. If you sit here and just simply go, oh, your movie sucks, and leave it at that, go create 15 other accounts, whatever. That's okay, it's juvenile as hell, but fine, you're just stupid. But to sit here and, like you said, you're pulling out every racist phrase and trope and out of the book. That's something different, man. You're no longer sitting here going, I don't like Gungans. And when you go to that, it's no longer creative criticism, constructive criticism.
Yeah,
it's something you have completely.
I don't like Gungans, but who cares?
Right. I can never. And the fact that George Lucas, just kind of almost, I don't want to say gave up, but was just like, yeah, okay, who cares? You guys are just like completely ungrateful. It's like, even with the I'm not a huge fan of the prequels, but as I've gotten older and we've gotten shows like Rebels, and the Clone, and stuff like Attack of the Clone, rather, and it rounded stuff up. It kind of, fluffed it up a little bit, gave it some supporting, documents, if you will.
Yeah, put a little meat on the bones.
Yeah, and now, okay, and I watch them now, and I'm going, okay, it's not bad, and of course,
okay, yes, this has its flaws, but at the end of the day, I'm enjoying myself watching it.
Right, and so
I don't need it to be a great work of art, right?
Right, and at first it was like, when they first made the prequels, it was just like, oh, this is going to be great, right? And then that's why I think the division happened, because you have this brand new generation of fans that were all for it, and then the folks that are stuck, with 4, 5, and 6 are going, well, it's not Vader, well, it's not Luke, or it's not our Ewok.
It's
so who's
not
General
what I wanted. Is what it comes down to. It's that shitty ass entitlement.
Right. Oh, they created Darth Maul and killed him off quickly, so now they're trying to recreate Boba Fett. Like, you couldn't even appreciate the characters, the new characters that we were given, I don't know. It's both sad and just really stupid that somewhere along the lines they became falsely entitled to something that is not theirs.
Well, you could it belongs to everybody.
Right. But it's not.
They don't owe you or me or anybody anything, the makers of these movies.
They're making them for the spectrum of all the fans.
What kind of pissed me off, though, is not only after, and it seems to me a little bit like Disney is of late learned their lesson in terms of taking care to make bold statements, because Disney came out right away and put out official statements against this racist behavior. Ewan McGregor made a wonderful and supportive video. Like, the makers of Star Wars are doing the right thing this time. And I think it's because they learned from the mistakes that they made in the wake of the Episode 8 debacle. Because Mike, I don't know how you felt about The Last Skywalker, but to me, that movie was a mess, because it spent half of its narration trying to undo the previous movie and capitulate to these shitty fans.
Right.
I mean, not for nothing, Rose Tico barely in Episode 9.
Yeah.
And certainly not in any meaningful way.
Right. And the thing is,
that's them they're making the mistake that so many of us make in thinking that the loudest voice is the majority.
Right. And the thing is, they gave direct fan lip service in the last movie, and the crowd that they were almost aiming at almost felt like they were aiming to please still took a giant shit on it. So you spent, like you said, the first half of the movie completely undoing everything.
Yeah.
And then the last half of the movie rushed everything in to pack up this order, which should have turned into a strong, B plus, almost A minus picture. Was a soft B. Soft B.
You're being way nicer than me. Last Skywalker is easily the worst of the Star Wars movies, in my opinion.
The worst?
It's a hodgepodge, man. Yes, I will definitively say it's worse than Phantom Menace.
Oh
yeah, absolutely. It's narratively just dumpster fire throughout.
Well, yeah, and then let's if we can.
I mean, there's just so many things, and I mean, I don't want to get off the rails too much, but yeah, right. If you really go back and think about it, there's just a sort of sense of desperation and fan service just commingling together to make the most lukewarm Star Wars movie possible. That's just kind of trying to say, hey, we're Star Wars, look at us, yeah. And that sucks. But there's a reason why after 2 back-to-back underperforming Star Wars movies, that and Solo, they scuttled all of their big screen plans and they've been focusing on the small screen. And lo and behold, the small screen stuff they've been doing kicks ass.
Absolutely, all kinds of ass. Yeah, for everything from the
kinds of ass.
Bad Batch to everything. I mean, everything.
Yeah, Bad Batch, 2 seasons of Mandalorian. I mean, what we've seen so far of Obi-Wan.
Yeah, stellar.
Excuse me. Boba Fett. It has its issues, but it's still a hell of a lot of fun.
It's still fun.
Crying out loud, the man is riding around on a Rancor. That's so awesome.
Right? I mean, who doesn't want one of those?
I want to see more of that.
Give
me that. But I mean,
as long as the Rancor is a male Rancor.
Hey, listen, what if the male Rancor is in heat, though? There's no telling what could happen. You see? There's an upside and there's a downside. But Mike, getting to, I'm really proud of the way that Disney has stepped up in defense of Moses Ingram.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And was not for nothing. This is only the more recent move of the company's made in late of standing up to bullies.
Yeah, I was going to touch on that. I was like, I'm wondering if recent actions have kind of,
I think so.
And it's like, because
I think Disney is absolutely looking 10, 15, 20 years in the future, and they're saying, look, diversity is the right thing to do. It's here to stay. Inclusion is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. We're going to be on the right side of history. And look, maybe they're doing it for monetary reasons, at least in part, right? I mean, they're a huge corporation, but it means something when a huge corporation is standing up and doing the right thing, not just giving lip service to it and not just doing it once.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, I mean, with, and the great thing about Star Wars is the fact that it does span the world. I mean, it's a global phenomenon. And, that small, hateful, vile minority only gets smaller when Disney and when Star Wars, when the actors and actresses speak out and actually kind of and advertise this is their stance. We stand behind our employees, our actresses and our actors, and this is our stance, and you can take it or leave it. And if you leave it, well, we've already seen what's getting ready to leave in our fan base, so it's really not that big a loss. You know, because how many people, I mean, how many casual Star Wars fans has this rhetoric kind of taken out of the fandom?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I know for one, I completely left. I'm only in one group in Facebook, and it's strictly a book group, and that's it. All we do is talk about the books, you know, whether it's you know, pre-Disney, post-Disney, you know, whether you want to call it canon.
Oh, you mean Star Wars books?
Yeah, Star Wars books. Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. And even that group is really heavily kind of admin and you know, there's really no room, and you know, they talk about their stages of, you know, from you know, the people of color and such, and so it's one of those things where, you know, me as a lifelong Star Wars fan, I don't even want to be remotely near that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because
well,
it's look, I don't want to. I want to talk about movies. I don't want to talk about some bullshit fetish that you think every science fiction person in the you know, very, you know, distant future is somehow white and male.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. Is if you look at those original Star Wars movies, they're hella white. Like, there's a reason we all remember Lando, and it's not just because he's cool, but because he's the only brother in space.
He's the token. He's the original token. I mean, yeah.
Right. But you don't hear these asshats whining about him. Right. You don't hear these assholes whining about Mace Windu. Right. But nope, here's a black woman. Mm-hmm. And she's strong and powerful and kicks some ass. Mm-hmm. And she's opinionated.
Oh, not the opinions. That's the devil's language. That's the devil's language.
You gotta think there's something there.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I really think there's something to be said here about it, the fact that it's that Moses Ingram, black woman, not just black man, right?
For sure.
If it had been a black man actor playing the role, I bet you anything this wouldn't be happening.
Oh, absolutely.
If the Rose Tico character had been male, guarantee it wouldn't have been happening.
Right.
There's some serious sexism happening here too that we haven't addressed. And if you think about it, the thing other than, you know, gender and minority status that both Rose Tico and Reva have in common is they're strong, independent women.
Right. And that when someone is so used to privilege, any little bit of change is going to feel like they're taking something from you, right?
Right.
Kind of like that scene in South Park, right? They took our jurors, right? This is that crowd.
Yes.
This is that crowd. You know, that, you know, God forbid. Well, it's just like when they, you know, when they introduced Rey, you know, holy God, you thought the world was on fire. But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, a huge misogynistic presence. I think, and most of this is, you know, aside from the blatant racism that we've seen the past few years, the bigger foundation, is highly misogynistic, to the fact where, you know, again, apparently it's just all dudes, you know, and I don't know how that's sustainable.
No, it's not. And you bring up a good point, Mike. In the last few years, a certain orange somebody who cannot say no to a microphone or a tweet.
Well, and he can't now.
Well, he can't say yes to a tweet now, but you know what I mean. In the past,
yeah, I got you.
Pretty much made it okay to be an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Just be an asshole. It's your right.
Yeah. And somehow,
I don't want to get too preachy with politics.
Sure.
But I'm going to.
I don't want
Donald John Trump.
He said his name. You say it 3 times, he appears.
Oh, Good. I'll just punch him in his shriveled scrotum. Use it for a boxing for a spade bag. But that's his legacy right there. Is making it okay, making the public discourse so horrifically toxic that it becomes okay to just be that guy.
Sure.
Why not? The president does it, right?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's just, well, I mean, going back, I mean, that famous line, there was good people on both sides.
Yeah.
No, Don, there's not good Nazis. Yeah. There's just not. I don't care how much they're giving to your campaign or re-election campaign.
Right.
They're not good people.
But there's something, his ascendance really signaled a shift in the way that people think it's okay to act towards others, online or not.
Yeah.
And it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, it's just,
this horrible racism and just misogyny and whatever in the Star Wars fandom is part of that larger conversation as to the corrosion of just human decency in this country.
Right? Well, I think,
and then look. Assholes were online before Donald Trump became president.
Right. Sure.
There's
absolutely.
No right. But it became an exponentially larger threat to public discourse after he became a president.
Sure. Well, it's like you said, they became comfortable. Certain folks became comfortable.
Absolutely.
And it's like people want to blame, we didn't have this and that before Trump. We did. They just didn't have a platform or have a platform large.
Now they do. It's called Parler.
Yeah, and true. But no, it's there was bullies since the dawn of time. It's just it became highlighted with the internet. But you're absolutely right. Once it's one thing to you could walk 20 miles in the cold rain and snow. You can walk 50 miles with an umbrella and a big coat of cold rain and snow. So it's like, I mean, once you got that comfort, I mean, once you're there and you're sitting down and you're at the table, I mean, why not go ahead and continue on? You're almost like that. You have that invulnerability because, like I said, I've already have the examples. And now they're saying if you're against me voicing my opinion, well, now you're taking away my First Amendment rights. So not only are you killing everything with your wokeism? Oh, sorry.
Yes. The woke mob.
Sorry for highlighting diversity. Oh, shitty. Sorry, Star Wars isn't, white anymore. I'm sorry, but you take that blanket away from them and that base shrinks, and hopefully, with folks like Ewan McGregor and Disney and hopefully this will kind of catch fire and you'll start seeing this with other companies and actresses and actors and whoever.
It would be nice. I would like to hope that we can see a sort of positive, I don't know, counter wave, I guess, for lack of a better term, to all of the toxic negativity out there in our culture. I really do. As for Star Wars, like, I have to wonder, like, and again, we stated before that, or we stated earlier, I should say, that, toxicity or toxic segments are not unique to Star Wars.
Nope.
But they're definitely uglier in Star Wars and more vocal. And I wonder, Mike, do you think there's anything to Star Wars in and of itself that might provoke that more visceral response?
I think it's just a natural rabid fan base, and I think because the fan base is so big that, you're going to have many differing opinions, and it's the most, I would probably
that's healthy.
Well, it is healthy, but with the fan base, just the name being so globally well known, that any type of discourse, regardless if a news outlet takes something so minor and runs with it and blows it up for whatever, or you get general just shitty discourse like what we're seeing now and what we have seen, I think that takes front stage, because there's plenty of discourse. Especially one of my other big fandoms, especially in my house, is Doctor Who.
Yeah, Doctor Who saw a gnarly little rash of sexism there.
Yeah. So and we get it, but once again, Doctor Who, huge fandom, global fandom,
right?
But not as big in the States as it is overseas. And I think that switches Star Wars, not as big overseas as it is over here, but it's still globally known. And once again, I just think that far reach, you're seeing it. I don't think there's anything special about Star Wars, because we've seen that discourse and stuff like, even with Ghostbusters, when they redid the Ghostbusters, regardless of what you think of the movie.
I mean, fair point.
Yeah,
fair point. Like as soon as it was, yeah.
I just think with Star Wars, man, you're finding everything, from Target to Walmart to GameStop to Amazon. Every single place that you almost can go to now sells something Star Wars. It could be a 7-Eleven in a Snickers wrapper with a lightsaber or something. Star Wars is everywhere. And so, like I said, when this discourse pops up, and once again, you take these common fans and they're going, oh, this is shit. All I want to do is talk about Obi-Wan and not be considered, whatever. I'll go do something else.
Just talk about the fact that I like this show.
Yeah.
And the assholes, the loud assholes, are sucking all the oxygen out of the room.
Right, absolutely. And I mean, and how many parents are sitting there, hear some word from their kid or something. Oh, where's he? Oh, my Star Wars group on Facebook. Oh,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I just think just because of the reach and just of like with Grogu and the Mandalorian, I mean, it's some faction of Star Wars is literally almost everywhere you go nowadays.
Sure.
And so it's like, it's kind of like.
So you think, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but you think that because of the ubiquity of Star Wars as a fandom and a brand is creating more of an opportunity for that sort of negative breeding ground? Sure,
and I'm sure
is that where you're going?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's people that jumped in the pool just to add to it. I mean, why not? Why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and unfortunately, those few folks, those, we'll say, a quarter of them, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, who really just want to, give constructive criticism and why they don't like it. Those are the people that are getting caught up in all this stuff. Like, I don't care what she looks like or what he looks like or who's he flopping around in the sack with or whatever. I just want to watch Star Wars, Then you got Zeke and all the other militia members that are going, no, they're taking Star Wars away from you. Oh darn, and all that other crap. But I don't know, man. Yeah,
I don't know, brother. I don't know what the exact answer is to getting these dinguses to go back to their dank corners.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be some kind of an answer to better regulate hate speech on social media, but Jack Dorsey's certainly not going to step up and do anything about it. So it becomes up to us, the consumers of social media and pop culture, to become the policemen of it. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again because I think it bears worth repeating, is online discourse, the level of which we're seeing on social media, is new. It's a new language. It doesn't have customs. It doesn't have boundaries that are defined and accepted yet. Now, you take the next generation and the generation after that are growing up doing this stuff. And, who knows? By that time, they'll probably be beaming their social media to their brain computers. But it takes a while for norms and customs to become norms and customs, right? Sure. And so I think this sort of thing is just going to have to take a natural evolution before it becomes understood that if you wouldn't say it to someone's face, you don't say it online.
Yeah, and the thing is that's it. Yeah, and I think another important aspect of that is reminding folks that, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I truly don't. But the neutral folks, the folks that just like, oh, let's let people live, and I don't have an opinion about this, whatever. Well, the thing is, if you feel that racism is wrong and you feel that what they're saying is wrong, you kind of need to say something, and
don't be scared. Yeah, don't be scared to speak up.
Because and I get it that some folks are going to be reluctant, but I hate to say it, but it's true. But silence is consent. And the thing is, it's like when shit really does kind of start hitting the fan, the neutral folks almost become damn near accidental enablers because, well,
right.
You didn't exactly stop it. You didn't exactly want to stop it. You didn't exactly help to stop it. So here we are. And this is what we have. You don't have to march. You don't have to buy shirts. You don't have to cover your car. And so you don't have to sit here. But at the same time, if you know racism is wrong and you know what these people are saying are wrong, you almost have an obligation, because what happens when they shift direction and it shifted at you? What happens when that misogyny, we're done with females of color. Now we're going for just the white woman. Now we're just going for women in general.
It's regressive thinking, and it has no place in our culture. And I sincerely hope that this is a bump in the road, historically speaking, and we can get past all this. But the realist in me says it's going to take longer than we really want it to. And, that sucks. But all we can do, Mike, is be vanguard. Stop that. Is be vanguards in our own right. Yeah. I got a giant dog over here trying to eat this bag of cakes.
Forgot about the tank.
Yeah. Lucy, come here. Lucy. There she is.
There she is.
She just be a big old puppy. But until that time comes, Mike, it falls upon us and people of like mind with us to be the vanguard of, and dare I say it, the gatekeepers of civility online, and just keep that positive echo chamber happening. That's all we can do. So,
got to.
Until then, Mike, gosh is honest truth. I just love Star Wars, man. Even if it's, you know what, even at its worst, I still just love Star Wars, and I'm always happy to get more damn Star Wars. And this might sound a little bit of a take on can't we all just get along, but man, can't we all just be happy that there's some new damn Star Wars out there?
Yeah,
seriously.
Yeah,
Like, let's celebrate this thing that we love instead of trying to tear each other down for our differences. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen.
So, start like doing it now or what?
Yes. All right. Well, that is it for our show for this week. You know, the world is kind of a shitty place out there. It doesn't have to be, though. You can spread a little positivity yourself just by being a good person to the guy next, or girl, or person next to you. That's it. That's all it is. But until then, get out there and read something good and support your local comic book store. And until next time, just be good to each other. Thank you so much. We will see you next week.